3 lifelong friends, 6 trusty balls, and endless NFL takes. Welcome to 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL Podcast. Welcome to episode 12 of 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL Podcast. I'm excited for today's episode. We've got a couple good topics we're talking about today. But to get us started here, I have a little game for you guys. So recently, Eagles running back Saquon Barkley came out and said that he thinks the 2024 Super Bowl champion Eagles are a top 5 team ever. And so what I want you guys to do is I have put together a list of 10 teams, 5 teams from before 2000 and 5 teams from after 2000. And I'm just going to read them off, and I want you guys to tell me if the Eagles from 2024 are better or if these teams are better.
Oh.
Okay.
So the first one here is the 1972 Dolphins, the only undefeated team in NFL history.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be better, right?
Whose rules are we playing? Their 70s rules or modern rules?
You have to go best, like they were the best in that time, right? The Eagles were the best in their time. The game is different, but I still think that it's equal. Equal, I guess. Them now versus them then.
I feel like being undefeated is enough to put you on top. Like, because you can only really be judged based on the era that you play in. You know, it's like winning a Super Bowl, but like every top quarterback was injured. It's like it doesn't take away the Super Bowl. It's like you still won. Everyone was trying as hard as they could, you know. It's not your fault that you didn't have better competition, I guess, but I mean, that's not like I know the competition in that year. It was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd have to say the Dolphins.
Okay. And all these teams are all Super Bowl winners, by the way. Second team, the 1985 Chicago Bears.
I mean, that's talked about as the most dominant defense of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do they have the fridge, or what's his name?
Refrigerator Perry. I feel like that's the right team.
Was he on that
I
team?
don't know. I don't know anything.
Because in my mind, all of these, everything pre-2000 is basically going to be like toughness versus like speed and skill. Like that's, whenever I watch old footage, like that's what it looks like. Is like these men are real men. Like these guys would like wouldn't even need pads.
We're talking about the 85 Bears.
85 Bears.
Refrigerator Perry's rookie season on the Bears.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, I'm gonna have to say the Bears, but part of this might just be like my indifference towards the 24 Eagles. I thought like they were good, but like not. Yeah, I'm gonna say the Bears.
Now, without stats or anything like that, I don't know if I agree with that. That team, as far as I remember, was held up by its defense.
Which was number 1 in almost every single defensive category.
Sure, but still, I feel like the Eagles this year were fairly well-rounded offensively and defensively.
They beat the Patriots 46-10 in the Super Bowl.
The 85 Bears?
Yeah.
I mean,
jeez.
I don't know. I mean, the Eagles should have beat the Chiefs by worse, but some garbage time touchdowns happened. And that kind of stuff just didn't happen back then.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they just daddied up the Chiefs that's not nothing.
I think I'm going with the Eagles this time.
Okay.
I think I'm going with the Eagles.
Okay. All right, next one. The 1992 Dallas Cowboys, who were the youngest team in the NFL at the time, who went 13-3.
Well, I'm going to have to go Cowboys, but that's just pure Cowboys over Eagles bias. I'll be honest about it. Sorry.
I'm going to go Eagles, although I will say that I'm looking at it now. The Cowboys beat the Bills 52-17. However, I would say that regardless, the Bills weren't winning. They had a destiny to lose 4 in a row. So I feel like any team they played, they had to lose. But that's superstition.
Well, and just start from the head coach position. Jimmy Johnson is a way better head coach than Nick Sirianni will ever be. So you start there and you start working your way piece by piece to that team, that Cowboys team. I mean, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, you're just not going to get that.
Yeah. Man, we were born in between 2 Cowboys Super Bowl victories.
Yes, I know.
I didn't know that because I didn't care, but now I see it and I
Thanks
care a little bit more.
Thanks for the reminder, Avery. Okay, so we're going 1-1 on this one?
Yeah.
Will's got the Cowboys and Avery's got the Eagles?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, next one. The 1994 San Francisco 49ers.
What year was that?
1994.
We're talking Steve Young, Jerry Rice. Man. I mean, here's the problem, is that we're trying to judge current players that our kids are going to talk about is, oh, you got to watch this guy play, as people we are taking for granted of right now. That being said, I actually don't know who I'm going with here.
It's going to get a little bit easier.
I'm going to go
years
Eagles.
are going up as we go along.
Once we start knowing who the teams are, it might be easier.
True. Yeah, once I watch these teams play, I think I'm going to go with the Eagles as well, actually.
I'm going to go with the Eagles.
Okay. All right. So next one. The 1999 St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf.
Oh, Kurt Warner. Marshall Faulk.
I know Avery has a soft spot in his heart for Kurt Warner.
I do. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Rams there.
Will?
I don't know. Dick Vermeil, head coach. Kurt Warner. Marshall Faulk. Isaac Bruce. Torrey Holt. I mean, these are all household names. Oh, man. This was harder than I thought, Joel. I mean, the game, as mentioned earlier, the game is just so much different now versus then. I don't know. Oh, I'm going to go with the Rams as well.
Okay.
That's a close one, though.
That is really close.
Okay, so that's the 5 teams before 2000. So the 5 teams after 2000. The first one, the 2009 New Orleans Saints.
Oh, I'm taking this Eagles team.
I'm taking the Eagles.
Okay. I thought Avery might pick the Saints on that one.
I would like to say the Saints, but I didn't feel like they were particularly dominant.
Yeah, they weren't.
Yeah, team of circumstance, truly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say the same thing with like the Cardinals the year before if they had won.
Oh,
Or it was
yeah.
like they weren't expected to be there at all.
They were just great in the playoffs.
Everything fell together.
Okay, the next one. The 2013 Seattle Seahawks, the Legion of Boom.
I'm going to go Seahawks.
Who did play in the Super Bowl that year, 2013?
The Broncos.
Oh, that was the embarrassing Super Bowl for the
beatdown.
Broncos.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wasn't that Peyton Manning?
Yeah. That was the opening snap safety. Living in the Northwest, I watched that game with a series of Seahawks players, and it was miserable for me. As a person who does not like the Seahawks, from the very first snap, it was just yelling and screaming about how good this team is. But what they didn't really have was a consistent offense. I mean, they had Marshawn Lynch, and they had Russell Wilson. I can't name a single receiver off the top of my head from that team. I'm sure if you said them, I would remember them, but like...
Doug Baldwin?
Okay, that doesn't do anything for me. I'm taking the Eagles.
Okay. Or one-on-one.
I remember getting back from Mexico. I was at Brandon Sprague's place for like a day, right before I went back to school. And he showed me some, I don't know if it was some like 30 for 30 looking thing, basically on the Legion of Boom that year. Because I like didn't see any of it. I'm like, oh, you guys had some insane secondary. And they just showed this documentary absolutely glazing this secondary. Like they were like demons. And I watched it and I'm like, oh, they look pretty good. So I'm like, that's the only thing I've seen of this team was that documentary that was just hyping them up. So
that team was incredibly good. Anyway, I think I'm going with the Eagles.
Okay, we're 1-1. Okay, the 2016 New England Patriots, who came back against the Falcons down 28-3.
Eagles.
Man, this is the wrong Patriots team to pick. Unfortunately, you said that they're all going to be Super Bowl winners. The only Patriots team I would pick over this Eagles team is the undefeated team that lost in the Super Bowl to Eli Manning. That is the only one.
I thought about putting them on this list, but I stuck with just Super Bowl winners.
So Eagles.
Okay. Okay, this one's going to be interesting.
How many more do we have?
2. The 2017 Philadelphia Eagles, who won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles.
Oh, I'm picking this Eagles team over that Eagles team.
Yeah, same.
I think this team is more well-rounded, and I'm sure you've got 1,000 stats that prove me wrong in every single way. But I don't think Carson Wentz was having, right? He started the season there. Carson Wentz, and he got injured. That's how that went.
Yeah, he was having an MVP
ACL.
year.
Yeah, he was having an MVP year, and he got hurt. And I think if Carson Wentz had stayed the entire season, I'm probably picking them over. But the best ability is availability, and when you're not available, their team didn't happen to suffer this time. And that goes to show for the entire system they have. But I think I'm going to pick this Eagles team over that one.
Okay. I'm surprised. I'm surprised neither of you said the 17 Eagles because I just thought that the fact that they won with their backup quarterback says something about that team.
I agree, but it says more about the coaching and the system rather than the dominance of that team, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going with the current one.
Okay. Last one. The 2022 Kansas City Chiefs who beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs, which is ridiculous because it was just, 2 years ago? Well, I guess they had Hill back then, right? Is he still there?
No, this was the first year after Tyreek Hill.
They did not have Tyreek Hill that year.
He missed out on 2 Super Bowls, but at least he was in a warmer city.
So that Chiefs team didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher.
Oh.
That Chiefs team only had 1,000-yard receiver, and that was their tight end. Statistically, I mean, Mahomes threw for 5,200 yards that year and 41 touchdowns. I mean, that's really good.
I'm gonna say this current one, the current Eagles team.
I think I like this current Eagles team better than. I think they have more pieces you have to watch out for, both on offense and defense, than that team did. I think that the Tyreek Hill Chiefs team maybe more questionable there, but maybe Saquon has a point. Maybe this Eagles team was really good and we're taking them for granted.
You guys have said the Eagles on 5 of the teams so far, so
yeah.
Well, wait.
Wow.
Let me ask. Follow-up question. The 19 Chiefs, the 2022 Chiefs, or the 2023 Chiefs? Would you put either of those 3 teams above the Eagles? The first one beat the Niners 31-20. We just talked about the second one, and then the other one beat the Niners 25-22 in overtime.
I would put the 19 Chiefs over them. They came back in that game.
Yeah, they should have lost that game, except is that Garoppolo, right? Who overthrew what's-his-face at the very end?
Oh, the Niners were looking scary that year.
Yeah, Niners were good that year.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, a year that they didn't have their entire defensive or offensive running back team destroyed by injury.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Damian Williams, Sammy Watkins, LaShawn McCoy, Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, that
Good
team
golly.
was good.
That team was
good.
stacked. DeAnthony Thomas, can't forget about him. He was on the team too.
You remember when they brought him, like when he was at Oregon? Dude, they treated him like he was some vintage 60s like Corvette that they would like from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. They make sure he's okay, and they'd bring him out. I think the Rose Bowl, he had 3 catches for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it was that was all he played. Because he was so small and fragile that they were worried he was going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to the NFL untarnished and still just never really. They keep treating him like that. Bummer.
I'm taking the 2019 Chiefs over this Eagles team.
All I'm taking away from this is that Saquon had a little bit more reason behind that than I initially thought.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So I got to ask the question now. Do you guys think that the 2024 Eagles are a top 5 team? Because that's only 10 teams that we talked about. But you guys listed, you both agreed on the Eagles on 5 teams, and you were split on 3 others.
I don't know if I'm willing to say they are, but I think they have a serious argument to be.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you guys. Before the Super Bowl, I'd say before the playoffs, what were your thoughts on the Eagles?
Not once had I ever thought they were a top 5 team.
That's what I'm thinking. So part of this is if the Lions, let's say the Lions won out, are they top 5? Because part of it is you could look at the whole body of work, but then you could also look at, oh, shoot, they won the Super Bowl. Where it's sometimes, it could go either way, not as much as basketball. There's no reference. But with this, I'm because the Lions seemed like the real deal. If the Lions kept going, because of the kind of the way that people were looking at them throughout the regular season, I feel like they could have made that argument. Unfortunately, they lost. So it's with the Eagles, if they lost, in the conference final, are they even I don't know. I guess part of me is just wondering if it all just comes down to their performance in the Super Bowl.
I think it's a huge part of it, though.
Yeah.
Truly.
Interesting.
Well, the Dallas Cowboy in me wanted to prove him wrong, but I guess it ended up proving me wrong instead. So,
It's a compelling argument, truly. Like, he said it, probably just saying it, but I think he has a fair point.
okay. Interesting. All right. Well, let's get on to our first official topic. So last week we were talking about 2024 playoff teams who would miss the playoffs and 2024 non-playoff teams who would make the playoffs. And during that discussion, Avery asked the question if there had ever been a team that had had three teams in the same division make the playoffs, that had had three teams make the playoffs the following year as well. So I looked it up, and the answer is yes, there has been. I went back to 2002 for this stat, and the reason I did 2002 is because that was the first year that the NFL had four divisions in each conference where there was four teams in each division. So there was a realignment that year of the divisions because the Houston Texans had joined the league that year. So 2002 was the first year the Texans were in the NFL. So since 2002, there have been 13 total divisions that have had three teams in the playoffs. However, there's only been one division that has ever done it in back-to-back years, which is the NFC East in 2006 and 2007. So something interesting with this is even though they had three teams in the playoffs in back-to-back years, it was not the same three teams. So in 2006, they had the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants make it. In 2007, they had the Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders make it.
Redskins, but yeah.
I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, at the time it was the Redskins.
Yeah, it wasn't Commanders back then.
All right, so what we're going to do today is we are going to go through the 8 divisions in the NFL, and we're going to rank them 1 through 8 based on how likely they are to have 3 teams make the playoffs in 2025. So I want to read you guys a couple stats before we get started because they might sway your thinking here coming in. So some notable stats. There are 3 teams in the entire NFL who have made the playoffs for the last 5 years, every single year.
Wow.
For at least the last 5 years. The Chiefs have made it for the last 10 years. The Bills have made it for the last 6 years. And the Buccaneers have made it for the last 5 years. Every other team has missed the playoffs at least one time in the last 5 years. Then there's a stat here that's over the last 35 years, so going back to 1990, there has been an average of 5.8 new teams in the playoffs compared to the prior year every single year. And last year, there was 4 new teams in the playoffs, meaning that for the last 35 years, there has been at least 4 new playoff teams in the playoffs every single year. So I don't know if that sways any of your guys' thinking at all, but it does prove that it is extremely hard to repeat success year after year in the NFL. So it doesn't necessarily mean that just because a division had 3 teams in the playoffs last year, that it's going to happen again this year.
I wonder how well those new teams do. Because I'm thinking like soccer relegation, where, you know, if you're the worst in your league, you drop down to the next lower league. And if you're the best in that lower league, you raise up. But it's got to be one of those things where those teams that are right on the cusp and keep, you know, going up and down, I would imagine that they're just bouncing around for a while. So I wonder with those like 4 to 5 teams that come in, if that's just we barely made it this year, and then the next year they get dropped down and another team goes up, but you have, you know, because you mentioned like the Bills and the Chiefs that are up there, but just because there's only, I think you said like 3 teams that have made it, in the past 5 years, that doesn't mean that there's not other teams that were like, oh, we're really good, but we might have missed it one year, but then we're right back in it the next year because we had, our quarterback get hurt or something. I guess I just wonder, because what that would implicate is like, how important is making the playoffs to you? Because if you're a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a while and you can just barely make it in, does that like hurt you because you just lost, you got a worse draft position, and now you're kind of still in that little middle road area? Or if some of those new teams actually pose a threat to the reigning establishment, dynasties?
Well, I think the Eagles would be a good team to that point, Avery. Is they haven't made it to the playoffs in each of the last 5 seasons, but they've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years.
No.
Just bring a point.
And then just one more stat before we start ranking the divisions. So I just want to go through each of the divisions and tell you how many times each division has had 3 teams make the playoffs. So the AFC North has done it 4 times. The AFC West has done it 2 times. The AFC South has done it once. And the AFC East has never done it. The NFC East has done it 3 times. The NFC West once. NFC South once. And NFC North once. So with that, Will, why don't you pick a division to start us off here?
At number 8, and this was a real toss-up. I debated this one for a while, probably more than I debated my number 1 spot. I have the AFC South. The AFC South has just been bad for a lot of years. And I don't just mean all of them, because somebody has to make the playoffs by default. The AFC is such an absolute juggernaut that I think they have the lowest probability with the Texans, Colts, Jaguars, Titans to make 3 teams in the playoffs.
I can agree with that. What do you think, Avery?
who are you debating it with?
For me, it's probably the AFC East. That was the one that hadn't ever made it, right?
Yeah, they've never done it. But I actually have a case to make for the AFC East.
Oh,
I have the AFC East in my 6th spot. They're not even in my 7th spot.
I'd actually like to hear Joel's reasoning for that, because that might influence me, and I love to be influenced.
Okay. So to the AFC East. So we got the Bills, right? The Bills are in. The Dolphins, they've made the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. Really, it rests on Tua and his health.
Absolutely.
He's missed 10 games over the last 3 seasons. He played 17 games in one of those seasons. But his lowest passer rating in full year that he's played over the last 3 years is 101.1. So he is actually a very good quarterback. Their defense last year was a top 10 scoring defense. So if Tua's on the field the entire season with a rating that's above 100 and a top 10 scoring defense, I can see the Dolphins making the playoffs. Now, really, this case rests on how you guys feel about the Patriots, because the Jets aren't making it. The Jets haven't made the playoffs since 2010. So It really depends on how you guys feel about the Patriots and what they've done this offseason to build around their Pro Bowl quarterback, Drake May.
I hate that so much. It's accurate, but I hate it.
I like the Patriots moves. I just don't. I like Drake. I love Drake May, but I don't know how I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
Now, I'm not making a case to put the AFC East at the top.
Right.
I'm just making a case to not put them
just
at the
above.
bottom.
Yeah.
And that right there is why I have them in the 6th spot, not the 7 or 8.
I can see it.
Now I want to hear what
happening.
the 7 is.
Yeah, who's your 7, Will?
I have the NFC South. I've got both Souths in 7 and 8 because there is a near statistical 0% possibility that 3 of these teams, between the Buccaneers, Falcons, Panthers, and Saints, make the playoffs. This is a division where they only had one double-digit win team. I think there is a possibility that 2 of these teams make the playoffs this year. Between the Buccaneers and the Falcons, they're in a fight for the division winner. But the Panthers are not there yet, and the Saints are definitely not now there. There is no way, in my opinion, that the NFC South makes 3 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Panthers had the worst defense by far last year. They were the only team that gave up over 30 points a game. And then the Saints are just over there shucking around. I don't know what they're doing, but
yeah, it is funny because we're kind of arguing like who would get beat down the most.
Yeah, totally. That's what we're arguing right now.
The second most. Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of agreeing with Will. There's obviously no way to ever test this or find out because I don't think any of these divisions are going to get 3 teams. But we're talking about just the likelihood.
Right, and just to put the final nail in the coffin for the AFC South, this is the number 8 spot. This is last year, and I texted Joel that history doesn't matter. It's all about the right now. But for last year, the AFC South winner, the Houston Texans, had a 0-point differential, literally 0. And then it goes down from there. The Colts had -50, the Jaguars had -115, and the Titans had a -149. So the winner had a 0% point differential. Which is not as bad as the Rams, who had a -19 points for differential, and they won the division, but still.
The Colts also had a quarterback who completed 47.7% of his passes, which is the worst since Tim Tebow.
Oh, I didn't
But
know
that
he
team
did
won a
that
play-
bad.
That team won the playoff game, though. Tim Tebow took the Broncos to the playoffs and won in overtime over the Steelers.
So you're saying Anthony Richardson's going to go to the playoffs?
I'm saying
No.
there's a chance. Really low, but a chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with both the South teams in the 7 and 8 spot.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Avery, do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was influenced.
All right. So, Will, you have the AFC East as your 6. Who's your 5?
5, I have NFC East. And boy, howdy, is this too high for the NFC East. This is too high for them, but they have higher probability than the other 3 we've already talked. Yeah, the other 3 we've already talked about.
Is this just a dig at the Cowboys not making it?
No, this is a dig at the NFC East being terrible. 2 of the 3 teams are awful right now.
I think the Giants are going to be competitive, though.
The Cowboys and Giants, there's no way with their current schedules you are not going from 3-14 to playoff team. It could happen, sure.
No, but it's really just about the Cowboys, right? We're talking about Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys. I mean, because you only need 3 in.
Right.
So, I mean, like whoever the worst one is.
There's no way, based off of that schedule, that the Cowboys are making it in.
No, Cowboys are a 5, maybe 6-win team next year.
Oh, you guys are already.
I've looked at that schedule.
I didn't know
that.
I'm just not in the know with that.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you guys were
several times, and it's not happening.
Well, we're Cowboys fans. Of course, we're dooming in May about the next season.
although I will say this, I haven't done the actual math on this, so I don't know the actual stat, but it seems like every year that everybody thinks the Cowboys are going to suck, they're good somehow, and every year people think they're going to be good, they suck. Just to throw that out there, but I don't see any way with this schedule that the Cowboys are making it in.
You guys are already at stage 5 of the 5 stages of denial of grief.
Yeah, we've already moved on to 2026.
Yeah.
I'm accepting.
You guys are already in acceptance. Dang.
Now the problem is,
30 years would do that, so I guess that makes sense.
The Cowboys are going to do what the Cowboys do, and they're going to go 7-10 again next year. Except they're going to get picked like 15 or 14 rather than 7. Or whatever they had this year, and they're just going to get 12 race. They're going to get a couple spots work, and it's not the team's ever going to get better. We're back in the Jerry Jones era.
Hey,
we're back in the Jason Garrett era.
Joel, I'm gonna make a prediction. Okay. NFC East. This is one that goes on the board. NFC East gets 3 teams, and the Cowboys lose in the first round.
That's not a very bold prediction.
That's a guarantee if Cowboys make playoffs.
You guys, I think that's pretty bold considering I got 2 Cowboys fans that were already like, no shot. We don't get 3 teams, and I'm like, the Cowboys are the linchpin here. That's the team you need. Like, no way.
Maybe the making the playoffs is a bold prediction, but them losing in the first round is not a bold prediction. That's just the trend.
Well, no, that's just like me saying they're not going to win the Super Bowl. It's like, well, obviously. I say, like, they're going to lose the first playoff game. Like, well, obviously. So it's really just about making the playoffs because we know they're not going past. Not going past the first round.
Okay, so with this discussion then, Avery, would you put the NFC East above the AFC East?
We just did.
Yeah. Okay. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would probably flip them, but since you guys both have them, then we'll.
You'd put the AFC East above?
Oh yeah, I put the AFC East above the NFC East.
So you're basically saying the Jets are going to be better than the Cowboys next year. That's what it sounds like.
No, I'm saying the Bills, Dolphins, and Patriots are going to be better than the Cowboys.
Oh, you're saying the Patriots are gonna? Well, I guess all I'm saying is just the bottom of the division, the team that kind of the third team, because that's really what we're talking about. You would basically say that the Patriots, the 4-13 Patriots, have a better shot at making the playoffs than the 7-10 Cowboys next year.
Yes.
Whoa. Okay.
I actually don't necessarily disagree with that either.
Whoa. Okay. No, I don't know. I'm just whoa.
Some real Cowboys hate here, but
I'm fine with sticking with the AFC East at 6 if you guys want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, in my number 4 slot. So we've got AFC South at 8, NFC South at 7, AFC East at 6, NFC East at 5. At the 4 slot, I have the NFC West. I've got Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, Niners. Now we're getting into the era, or to the range of teams that actually have a shot at getting 3 teams into the playoffs. We are there. I think if we're going to have anybody, it's going to be Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals. Niners still aren't going to make it. They're going to be. I'm terribly afraid Brock Purdy's going to have a hangover season after hitting his gigantic contract. It seems
He'll
like
get hurt.
He'll either get hurt or
overweight.
What it feels like happens is that they just get so uptight about how much money they're being paid and say, oh, I have to prove myself. So they get inside their own head, they get the yips, and it's just terrible for them.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Like, why is it that after every single player gets paid the big contract, they either get hurt or they just suck?
It's because the pressure's on now. You got all this money, you have to perform, so pressure's on.
Watch him get the Madden cover and then just get assassinated the next week.
Oh, gosh. Do we know
Compounding curses.
Do we know who's on the Madden cover?
Who is on it?
I don't know. I haven't played Madden since like Madden 12.
anyone-
Oh,
play Madden
it's
anymore?
Saquon Barkley jumping over that guy backwards.
Oh, that's actually hella
That's
appropriate.
a sick cover. That's awesome. That's a really cool photo.
Does that cement the Eagles being a top 5 team ever?
I mean, I asked you, right? Madden
Oh,
cover?
gosh. Okay.
It almost looks explicit. I would be so upset if I was. Thank goodness they obscured his name, the Jaguars player. I don't know who it is, and it's probably a good thing. Like, because dude, he's more front and center than Saquon is almost.
Yeah.
Poor dude.
Forever remembered the guy who got jumped over backwards.
It's like getting posterized. It's like, oh, that's so embarrassing. Like, I'm the only one that bothered to defend the man.
All right, I think I'm good with the NFC West at 4.
Yeah.
I think there's teams that have higher probability, but I think they have better than what we've talked about, which is why they're ranked where they are. There are people better and there are people worse.
I will say the Seahawks are kind of a question mark to me, and the 49ers are a pretty big question mark to me. And the reason I say the Seahawks are a question mark is just because of the quarterback situation.
I agree with that. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be near as good when he doesn't have the weapons to throw to. I feel like he doesn't have like he had in Minnesota last year. So we'll see how that goes. But
Can I guess your number 3 team
you may.
or division? Is it the AFC North?
It is not the AFC North.
Is it the West?
It is not the West.
Oh,
It is the NFC North.
AFC North. Yeah. Wow.
NFC North with the Lions, Vikings, Packers, and Bears. Now, I do think this is currently ranked too high. I feel like I have to because the only piece in the Vikings that changed was a quarterback, and that is still up for debate, right? We don't know anything about J.J. McCarthy, and the second he sucks, they're going to trade for somebody good or pick up Aaron Rodgers or whatever or do anything. The Bears have made huge strides in the offseason. The Packers continue to be good. They had 3 teams last year. Again, the Vikings quarterback changed, so it's a significantly different team. With just that one piece, I don't think there's any way they go 14-3 again. But I think that the NFC North has a high probability of making 3 teams in the playoffs.
I don't know about you guys. I'm not entirely sold on the Bears. I know they've had a really good offseason, but what I did was I compared Dan Campbell's first few seasons in Detroit, and I know the Lions were just really bad when he took over, but I compared his first couple seasons trying to, kind of scope out how Ben Johnson's first couple seasons with the Bears are going to go. So in his first 2 seasons with the Lions, so his first season, Dan Campbell went 3-13-1. And then his second season, they were 9-8, and they missed the playoffs in both of those years. It's only been 2 years that the Lions have actually been really good. So it took a couple years for Dan Campbell to build up that team. So is Ben Johnson going to be able to do it with the Bears right away? I don't know. So I'm not entirely sold on the Bears. I'm not saying that they're not going to make the playoffs. I'm not saying that they're going to be the same Bears, but maybe it's going to take a little bit of time for Ben Johnson to build up that team the same way that it took Dan Campbell to build up the Lions.
I agree with you. I'm not fully sold on them. I think the Bears have made more moves in Ben Johnson's first year than the Lions did in Dan Campbell's first year. But the difference is that just in pure personality, right? I mean, Dan Campbell is a unit of a man, and he's going to command things to be his way. You don't see the same thing from Ben Johnson. Not that he's not doing that, but he's not going on interviews and press conferences telling everybody he's going to bite kneecaps and that they're, man, we're the best, man. We're going to be everybody, man. It's just, he's just a different kind of guy. So maybe he's more behind the scenes puppet master kind of coach, and he's doing everything. We just don't see it, and that's the way he wants it. So
one other thing I will say with the Bears is, and Ben Johnson, when Ben Johnson was with the Lions, again, it took a couple years, but in the 2 seasons that the Lions were really good, Ben Johnson had everything he could have possibly wanted on that offense.
yeah,
Does he have everything he could possibly want on the Bears offense? Or is there still pieces missing? To me, I look at the running back position and I say there's still something missing.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. In 1 second, and I will disagree with you.
Ollie looks, I'm curious, do you guys think that a division has a better chance to make it if they have 4 solid teams or 3 solid teams and 1 absolute clunker?
One absolute clunker.
Agreed.
Okay.
I think you are correct, Joel. I think the Bears running back room leaves things to be desired.
Like a running back.
Like a starting premier running back. Yes, correct.
Like a man who can run with a ball.
I also think that their receiving room leaves some to be desired. They have a bunch of new people in at receiver this year, whether through draft or undrafted free agent or trade. But I'm getting less and less sold on this Bears team the more I look at it. But I still think I'm standing by the AFC North here. Wait, nope, NFC North here, wrong side, with the Lions, Vikings, and Packers. I still think the Bears are going to be the odd team out, but I do think that even though the Bears may still be a clunker, like Avery was just saying, I think the other 3 are enough to sharpen each other.
Well, I don't think the Bears are going to be a clunker. That's why I'm not as sold on the NFC North.
Sure, they're going to wipe each other out.
Yeah, that and the fact that history, I know you said it doesn't matter, Will, but history says that it's not going to happen. It's only happened once since 2002, so history says it's not going to happen. And I think the reason for that could be that we don't know what the Vikings are going to be, and we don't know what the Bears are going to be. And if they're both middle of the pack teams, they could be knocking each other off.
You're right, and let me disagree with that here. The Packers went 1-5 in their division and still made the playoffs.
Ooh.
So you can
bad.
That means they only lost to 1 non-divisional team.
Yes, yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. You can be abysmal in your division. They went 6-6 in their conference, so all 6 losses were NFC teams. But 1-5 in their division, and they still went 11-6 and made the playoffs. So you don't.
That makes me like this division even less.
You don't have to be good in your own division.
That makes me want to move the NFC North down.
But you have to be exceptional outside of your division.
Yeah, you have to win every other game.
That's wild. That's wild to me.
You're getting incredibly sharpened by your own division, and so where you take that talent and you beat everybody else. Now, obviously, the NFC North didn't beat everybody else because the Eagles won the Super Bowl, but 1-5 in the division and still made the playoffs.
I like that placing third.
I think they have higher probability than most others. And yes, even though they just did it and statistically it's not going to happen again, I still think it's better than the NFC West, who we have at 4. Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, Niners.
I think I'm more sold on the AFC East at this point. I think that conversation just talked me completely out of the NFC North. Yeah, completely out of the NFC North. That Packers stat right there just talked to me completely out of the NFC North.
Interesting. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they were one of 2 divisions to even have the 3 teams in, but they do seem a little rocky. Like, you don't really know what you're going to get from any of those teams next year. I mean, you could say the Lions, but like statistically, I mean, how likely is it that they do as well as they did last season? And it's kind of like with Dak and Zeke their first year, where it was like, oh, this is going to be. I'm like, guys, like statistically, that they weren't even rookies. Like that, those were like first team, guys. So it's like, and then I realized, like, yeah, every year their stats just kind of.
Yeah, every year since then they've looked like rookies.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with it though.
It can change. That's fine. Okay, so there were 3. You want 2 or 1 first?
I think I already know.
Give us 2.
All right. Number 2, I have the AFC North at number 2 with the Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. And I understand I am high on the Steelers and nobody else is.
You have to be. You got a lot riding on it.
Not a single person loves the Steelers. I think I may be a bigger Steelers fan than your father-in-law, Joel, than Megan, than half the Yinzers out there this year. I may be higher on them, and my boy Will Howard, who may not even be the starting quarterback, but if they get Aaron Rodgers, right, that team does get better. It does get better with Aaron Rodgers on that roster. And if not, then Mike Tomlin, even though he's in year 100 in coaching, has taken rookie quarterbacks before and propped them up. And I do believe Ben Roethlisberger won the Super Bowl in his rookie year, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it wasn't his rookie year. No rookie quarterbacks ever won the Super Bowl. As a starter.
Oh, okay.
Then it was very early on in his career that he won his first Super Bowl.
I know that stat because I was wondering if Jaden Daniels was going to be the first one to start in the Super Bowl. Because no rookie quarterbacks ever started in the Super Bowl.
So in his first year, Ben Roethlisberger's QB record was 13-0. That's pretty good, right? Played in 14 games, started 13 of them, went 13-0. That's decent. Now, granted, this team is not near the same as that team. They don't have near the weapons. I'm not trying to argue that this team is any amount as good, but it does prove the fact that Coach. Also, that was Bill Cowher back then. That wasn't even Tomlin. But that the Steelers can do it. And when Mike Tomlin came in, he proved himself to be a good coach. I am still leaving this team here. The Ravens and Bengals almost seem destined to make the playoffs every year, even though the Bengals didn't make it last year because their defense couldn't stop anybody. They had the number one quarterback and number one wide receiver on that team last year, and they're still there this year. It'll just be about if they can sneak that third team in, and I don't think it's going to be the Browns. Never going to be the Browns. But I think the Steelers have potential to do it. Maybe too high for the AFC North and a lot of other people's opinions, but I like it for me. That division has always been an iron sharpens iron division.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so that leaves the AFC West in the number one spot.
It does. And before we switch to the AFC West, just as point of reference, the Browns, who got 3 wins, 2 of them were against the AFC North. They are a division that is going to sharpen themselves for the future. That does leave the AFC West, which again goes back to our AFC North conversation. With this division had 3 teams last year make the playoffs with Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, and then the haircut never made it. Haircut still won't make it this year. But
you're not going with Cody's prediction?
I really like the Raiders. I really do like the Raiders. I think their ceiling is a wild card spot, but I don't think that it's real. I don't think they're actually going to hit their ceiling. They were 0-6 in division last year. They did not win a single divisional game, and that does not bode well for the next year. Although it's new regime, new quarterback, new head coach, new running back, new everything except haircut. That's the same. But I still think they have the highest probability.
You know, this conversation makes me think that there actually might not be any divisions that get 3 teams.
That's kind of what I was thinking about while we were talking about this.
That's why it's most likely, not guaranteed.
Yeah. I think it's a real possibility that there's not any divisions that has 3 teams this year.
Let's make predictions right now. If you had to pick one, which division is the one division that has 3 teams to make the playoffs?
I'm gonna go bold. I'm gonna go AFC East.
AFC East.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction and go AFC East.
That is a bold prediction.
The one division that's never done it.
So you're saying Bills?
Wait,
Dolphins.
let me put an if in there. If Tua is healthy all season.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll allow it.
That's the same thing as Will Howard. If they don't sign Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
If Tua is healthy. If Tua is healthy, I'm going with the AFC East.
Avery already made his prediction with the NFC East. You doubling down on that, bad boy? You said the AFC East.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
2 teams. Yeah.
I thought I was talking about a different team for a second.
I listen to the show we record currently.
I don't remember what happened a half hour ago. Honestly, I would say in addition to the NFC East, honestly, I think I might put the AFC North above the AFC West.
Yeah.
Simply because even though I think I said in a previous episode that I think the Steelers weren't going to make the playoffs.
I remember.
That was last episode because you said you specifically said because Will Howard is garbage.
Yeah. If they get Aaron Rodgers, I think the NFC North gets 3. I think there's no way to test this, but I think they're more probable than the AFC West, mainly because of the Raiders, and I have doubts about the Chargers.
Fair.
I think they might not make it. And also, how wild. I know we've talked about this before, but the Chiefs with a 59-point differential.
Their win differential,
At the top of their division, and the other teams have like twice as many points they've scored.
15-2 was a 59-point win differential.
Yeah, they really just did not care during the regular season.
Well, because Avery took both the NFC East and the NFC North. So that's cool for him. I'm glad he did that for me. I will go with the NFC North. I will double down with this NFC North. I don't know what's happening with the Vikings, but I think a pitch could easily be made for a veteran quarterback. I don't know how I feel about this, but I'll say it anyway. Even if they traded with the Panthers for like Andy Dalton or somebody who has proved themselves as a good enough quarterback. You're not looking for a good quarterback. You're looking for a good enough quarterback. And not that J.J. McCarthy's not that, but with the team that the Vikings currently have, just somebody to do enough. That's what Sam Darnold was last year, and enough got him to 14-3. And we got some real leaders on that team, so you don't even need the chief head guy to come in there and be the guy, because you've got Harrison Smith coming into his 14th season leading your defense. You've got Justin Jefferson, who has that locker room whipped into shape, I'm sure, with the way he just is. He demands excellence from everybody. And so I think that a good enough quarterback can come into the Vikings, and then the Packers have consistently gotten better year after year with Jordan Love. I don't think the Lions are really going that far down. I'm going to go NFC North.
And you're going with the Vikings, not the Bears.
I am going Vikings or Lions, Packers, and then Vikings.
I like that.
Nobody wanted to pick the AFC South?
No. I will not be surprised if not one single team had 10 wins in that division. In either of the Souths. I think the NFC South winner is going to have a losing record this year.
Is that going on a spreadsheet?
Sure. Yeah. Spread me open, Daddy.
Okay. So let's get on to our last topic here. So it was recently announced that NFL players will be allowed to participate in the Olympics. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build an Olympic roster with just NFL players, because there's no guarantee that NFL players will fill every spot on the roster. But we're going to build a roster with just NFL players. So just a breakdown of the positions here. So it's 5-on-5 for Olympic flag football. The positions on offense are quarterback, running back, / receiver. So there's 3 running back / receivers, I guess. And then a center, who can be anybody because the center can go out for a pass. And then on defense, you have a designated rusher and then 4 secondary players. So if you want to just break that up into 2 corners and 2 safeties. So a couple things to know with the Olympic flag football rules. So there's 2 20-minute halves. They're playing on a field that is 70 yards by 25 yards, but 20 of those 70 yards are the end zone, so 10 for each end zone. So it's actually a 50-yard field. With the rules, how this is set up right now is you can only have 1 player from every NFL team to be on the Olympic roster. We're going to go through and we're going to pick our ideal guy for each spot. So we're just going to go around. We're going to each pick a guy, and then we're going to decide on 1 guy to fill that spot. So Avery, we'll start with you. You can pick whatever position you want to start with and let us know who your ideal guy for that position would be.
I'm going to go with quarterback. I don't even know how I feel about this. I'm actually very curious to hear what you guys feel about this. I like Jaden Daniels for the quarterback. Part of my criteria for this was like, who's young and spry?
Yeah.
Seriously.
I'm like, I'll bet Tez Johnson would crush in this.
Well, yeah, you got to keep in mind, too, that it's 3 years down the road. So these players are going to be 3 years older by the time they would make this roster. So
that's true.
Jaden Daniels would only be 27 at the time.
Then, yeah, Jaden Daniels. For the most part, I was just looking at like the youngest players and who's just fast, who's quick. I like Jaden.
I put Lamar Jackson down, but I think Jaden Daniels, because of age, is actually a better pick.
Yeah, Lamar's going to be 31.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're both great. Lamar would have been my second choice. But another rule to keep in mind with the quarterbacks, quarterback can only run past the line of scrimmage after handing the ball off and receiving a lateral pass. So you cannot just take off and run. But you do have to be able to escape your rusher who is going to start 7 yards away from you, and he's just going to basically have a free rush. All he has to do is just go around the center who's just snapping the ball. So you still have to be able to move. You can't just stand there and throw the ball.
So, real quick, logistically, the way to get around that is you hike the ball, you snap the ball to your running back, and the running back pitches it backwards to your quarterback. And your quarterback can throw it or run it, either way. So that is easily gone around, but you're not wrong. That guy has to be able to get around and move and still throw the ball.
Because by the time, if your running back gets it first and then you're doing the lateral, how far is that rusher? Like
Right.
how far is he gonna be 3 yards away from you, 1 yard away from you? Depends on how fast he is. So
Yes.
you still got to account for that if that's what you're going to do to right off the bat to start the play.
Yes.
So it sounds like we're all in agreement on Jaden Daniels for quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Will, pick whatever position that's left and give us your guy.
I mean, let's keep moving down the list, right? Running back. I'm going Devon Acne from Miami.
I don't think that's how you say his last name.
I do not care. A cane, a chain, whatever it is.
I like Acme.
The Miami running back. We know who I'm talking about. He is 24, 25, something like that.
That is also who I picked, just for the record.
Oh, cool. I did something right, except pronouncing his name. Let's see. He's 23 currently. My bad. So in 3 years, he'll be 26. He had the highest receiving yards of all the running backs in the league last year. And that's really what's going to matter, because in flag football, are you really handing the football off, or are you going to throw it to your running back?
Yeah, I agree. Avery, did you have the same guy, or you have somebody else?
Nope.
Same guy?
No, I didn't have Acme.
Oh, who did you have?
Well, it's not like I have a specific spot, but I mean, I have someone else that could have filled that position. I had Travis Hunter. I think he would be awesome in flag football. I think you could kind of put him anywhere. I think he would be. I mean, just his size, you could put him anywhere. I think he'd be great, and he'd still be very young. He'd be one of the youngest guys out there.
I have him in my safety spot.
I had him as
move him.
I had him as a backup choice, so it sounds like he'll make the list somewhere.
Now, we got to keep in mind, these NFL guys in 3 years from now, they still have to try out for the team. There is currently an and a USA national team for flag football who competes in tournaments and things like that currently. Not today, but like this year, they will compete regularly for medals and things like that. So they're going to have to go in, learn a new game, and try to beat these guys out of their current spots.
I'm curious. This is a little bit of a break in the action. I've been thinking about this the whole time. Because on one hand, I'm seeing it as like, oh, you have college players that played basketball for a long time, and then they started losing, and so like, we'll put in the pros. But it's still the same game, and so it translated very well. And with this, at first I was thinking, oh, these are NFL guys. These are the cream of the crop. Of course they'll crush. But then I'm like, this is a very different game. This isn't, the way that you get in there. You're not trying to tackle. You're just, it's hand-eye coordination, be able to grab a flag. How much do you think the current guys that are already basically great at this flag football game, do you think it's likely that the NFL players completely overtake them? Or do you think that there's skill sets that these guys have that would actually beat out NFL players?
There are skill sets that these guys have that will beat out NFL players. But on the flip side, I think that they will take the NFL players over the current roster due to publicity. Money and publicity.
100%.
It is in LA. It's Summer Games LA 28. So it's in America. We've got American football, everything, this, that, and the other. They're going to put the biggest and brightest NFL stars on the field for flag football. And the problem is that they're going to get beat because the rest of the world doesn't give a rip about that. And they just want to win gold, and they don't care. Whereas basketball, the game translates a lot. The NBA guys have to learn a new game because it's kind of different with a different rule set and the goaltending, this, that, and the other.
But this is a whole new sport. If we're really looking at it, this isn't even really football anymore. I mean, you've gone to it's a whole different thing. There's
so many new rules that they're going to have to learn and try to do anything with. They're going to have to use a flag football coach. I can't imagine a NFL coach is going to give up their summer for their team to go learn a new game on how to coach flag football, learn how to coach flag football, and then try to deal with all these different NFL personalities. It's going to be an interesting experiment, if nothing else.
Okay, so back to the players. So Avery, are you fine with, I believe it's pronounced Devon Achin?
Thanks, appreciate that.
I'm cool with that, yeah.
At running back. Okay. So, Will, would you want to put Travis Hunter at receiver?
I don't have him at receiver, but if you look at the national team roster, every single person has more than one position. It is DB/wide receiver. It is QB/DB. Like every single person has more than one position to their name. So I have no issue with him playing both sides. I have no issue with him taking a roster spot as receiver. Okay. I just didn't do it.
Okay. Because, there's only 10 players, so there's like almost no depth. There is no depth.
Right.
You guys want to put him at corner, or do you want to fill his spot at receiver?
I actually had him at safety, not corner.
I like what Will's. I like safety.
Safety? Okay, we can put him in at safety.
I think his receiver skills make him a better safety than corner. Now, he has incredible corner skills, but I think that he is a read and react in the open field is going to suit his skill set best.
Okay. We'll put him in at safety. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my receiver. So my first receiver is Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions.
Ooh, uh-huh.
And the reason why is because he's a guy who catches the ball
Nice.
like very close. Yeah.
Yes, he is.
He is a guy. He's a guy who plays football.
He grabs balls, dude, out of the air.
No, he catches the ball very close to the line of scrimmage, and then he just does his work from there. So
Okay.
I do have another guy for receiver who's a over-the-top type of guy, but I also have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's the guy who catches the ball close to the line of scrimmage and then goes to work from there. Because he only averages 11.3 yards per catch, but a lot of those catches are right at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. So I feel like, especially if you have a free rusher who's only 7 yards away, if that guy runs a 4.3, 4.4, he's going to be in the quarterback's face pretty fast. And so you're going to need a guy who's that underneath guy to throw to. And I think that's Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I like that.
That's cool, yeah. I didn't even think of that.
That is
That's
not who
slot
I had
receiver.
for my close receiver, but I do like that a lot.
Who did you pick as your receiver, Will?
I went a bit off script. This guy is not currently in the NFL, but he will be by the time of the Olympics. And I went with Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State University.
Oh.
He's a big body who catches the ball close to the line of scrimmage a lot and just makes plays over and over and over again. I think he is an incredible talent. He will be in the NFL at the time of the Olympics. I think that he will be an incredible asset. Now, I don't know what team he's going to play for, and so that's the only caveat here, but Jeremiah Smith is who I had as my slot, I guess, receiver,
Okay.
if you want to call it that.
Real quick question that's not on the subject. Just you don't have to explain why. Just tell me yes or no. When he goes in the NFL, if he keeps his trend of what he's done so far in his first year, would you pick him number 1 overall?
No.
Yo, so you hate him? Yes or no?
Yep.
You can't say anything else. Okay.
Yep, hate him. Hate, double hate.
I think-
Loathe entirely.
I think I would. If he continues what he's done, I think I would. But okay, next guy, Avery, who would you pick? Who would you pick as our second receiver?
I think there are better choices. I was looking at Jamar Chase. I really wanted Jamar Chase, but for flag, I'm going Tez Johnson. That boy is slippery. I think he's got that lateral movement and speed. Also, honorable mention. This is Will kind of made me think about it. Ryan Williams out of Alabama.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be an interesting one too. He's got a little bit of that Tez body, but of course he's kid's 18.
And that's the thing is that these small framed guys are perfect for flag football.
Yeah, that's true.
They're perfect.
I actually didn't think about that.
If it was 20 years ago, I'd be saying Darren Sproles.
Oh, if it was 10 years ago, I would have said Ryan Switzer. I would have.
I don't think most people even know who Ryan Switzer is besides me and you, Avery.
I know.
Will, do you want to go Tez, Will, or do you have somebody else?
I like Tez a lot, especially if we were to go. I mean, really, you don't need the field's not big enough for an over-the-top receiver. That's the only thing I'm hung up on. We're 25 yards wide. I do have Jamar Chase down. He's going to be 28, maybe 29 at the time of Olympics. So he's not really that old. He's 6 foot, fast, can jump, can do all the things. I also started racking my brain on what basketball players would want to do this. Like, if we want a big body, let's get Shaq out there. You take 25 steps down the field, you just reach that big old paw up, and you just catch the football, pal. You don't need any yards after the catch. I don't need you to move anywhere.
Well, let me throw this name in then. Brian Thomas Jr. 6'4", 205, had a great rookie season with the Jaguars.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. But, like, my first thought was Victor Wembanyama.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, he's not. He wouldn't play for the American football team.
Could you? I mean, I guess I just don't know the different exploits in flag football. But I mean, if you just put in a 7'6" dude and put him out there, I mean, you can't tackle him. Like, is there a way to stop that?
No, there's not.
No, there's not.
Because at that point, like, why do you even? You just need tall guys that can catch. I'm just wondering if there's a way to counter that.
Yeah, speed, right? So, like, speed's going to win out overall.
But is it? But I mean, if as long as you've got enough blockers or enough time, if the guy gets out there,
there's no time. That's the thing. So there's no time.
There is no time.
Because you have 7 yards. The rusher is 7 yards off of you, and he's coming immediately.
Giannis.
Again, not Giannis for your center for sure. We can do that. We can build the best.
Oh, I meant for receiver.
We can build I'll go back to why Giannis will be your center. We could build the best flag football roster we want to.
That's what they're going to do now. They're going to play for Wembanyama's going to go play for France, and Antetokounmpo is going to go play for Greece, and they're going to beat USA.
I shouldn't have brought their names up.
That's what I said.
They watch this. They're going to go.
It's not going to play for the American team. That's the thing I have not checked at all. Is origin of birth on these guys? If they would want to play for a different national team, they're not allowed to play. Sorry, can't do it. No, only 5 players.
Yeah.
All right. Are we going with Tez? Are we going with Tez?
I like Tez a lot. I didn't even think about Tez, but I like Tez a lot.
The only other guy that I considered was Xavier Worthy because he's a small, very fast guy.
I like Justin Jefferson a lot too, but age is going to be a problem. As you 3 years from now, age is going to be an issue.
It'd be like what, 29, 8?
That's too old. Sorry, can't do it. Can't be an Olympic athlete that old.
I'm okay with Tez though. All right, Will, give us your center.
I have Harold Fannin Jr. at center. Because remember, the center can go out and catch the ball. Harold Fannin Jr. is 6'3". That dude catches. He's shifty. He's a big body who's going to be able to stay in the block, 6'4", 230. He's going to be able to stay in and block your rusher if he needs to, but he's also got hands out of this world and can move after the catch. Harold Fannin Jr.
What about you, Avery?
That's who I had.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I had Brock Bowers.
That'd be good too.
He's 6'4", 230, runs a 4.5. But I'm okay with Fannin. I think that's a good pick. I like it, actually, that we're not picking just the best players for every position.
Yeah, because we haven't at all.
Okay, so on to defense. I'll start with the rusher. I picked Micah Parsons.
Same.
Damn it. Yeah.
He runs a 4.3 940. I mean, who else are you going to get that's
Yeah. That is truly the only name I've ever seen thrown around for the rusher for the U.S. flag football team is Micah Parsons. I'm like, yeah, I don't even know who else I would want out there doing it.
And that is right up Micah Parsons' alley, too.
Yes.
Attention, media, that whole type of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
That is right up his alley. So it sounds like we're all in agreement on Micah Parsons. All right, who would you pick at corner, Avery?
I like Cooper DeJean.
Ooh, I
considered him.
That might be recency bias, though.
Yeah, I did not write his name down, but I really, really considered it.
I did consider it. Okay,
you need diversity.
Can I just throw this out just as a rule for the secondary is, it does matter if you get turnovers in flag football, because if you get a turnover on downs, your offense starts at their own 5-yard line, versus if you get an interception, you're starting where you get the ball, like where you're down. So that does matter to get turnovers.
Yeah.
So just to throw that out there for the secondary.
Yeah.
Will, who did you pick?
I had Pat Surtain as my first corner.
That's who I picked as well.
He's the front runner for it right now. His ball skills, man-to-man coverage, I feel like, is going to be huge in flag football. You're only 25 yards wide, sure, but there's still going to be a lot of openings, and especially for quick movement. So you need guys who are going to come up, press, cover hard, and then move on. If this were 20 years ago, Champ Bailey would be top of my list, no doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
But same team, different era, pass retain.
Yeah, I really think we should put him on the team if you're cool with that, Avery. I mean,
Yep.
I'm not ruling out DeJean for the second corner spot at all, but I think that you got to have a shutdown guy in the secondary, and I think it's him. For my second corner, I picked Derek Stingley Jr.
Damn. Holy cow.
Oh.
And the reason why is the turnover thing. So in the last 2 seasons, he has had 10 interceptions, 5 in each year. And again, those matter because if you get the turnover on downs, your offense is at the 5-yard line versus wherever you're down after getting an interception. So not only is he one of the best corners in the NFL right now, he gets a lot of turnovers. So that's why I picked him. What do you think, Will?
I went with Sauce because of his man coverage ability, but his turnover rate's not as high as it used to be. And 3 years from now, he'll be even older. I'm good with him not being there. I just kind of defaulted to him because I was just thinking about man coverage corners. But I'm good with him not being there.
Okay. So the question is, then it sounds like with corner, we're down to Cooper DeJean and Derek Stingley Jr. Avery, did you have Stingley as one of your guys as well? Or
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So
My other choice was Troy Polamalu.
Oh. I'm into that. If this were 20 years ago, Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu as our rushers, not corners, not safeties, as the rusher, that is what you want. That is the good guy you want. Absolutely. I mean, if not Micah, Fred Warner's the next guy, right? He's for sure the next guy up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll break the tie here on the corner. Who are you picking?
I don't know. I'm going with Stingley. I'm not going. DeJean didn't have the turnovers in the regular season, and that matters.
I'd go with Stingley over DeJean. I just like DeJean.
Okay.
I also like DeJean. I think he would make a good personality on the team. I think he would be good for the team as a whole. I'm good with carrying him as an alternate at minimum, but yeah, I like him.
Okay. So we already put Travis Hunter in one of the safety spots. So, Will, who would you have as your other safety?
I have Tariq Woolen. 6'4" Tariq Woolen. 6'4", 210 pounds. That's just what you want back there. You want a guy who's going to read the ball and has the height to get over people. He's a really good fit for that.
What about you, Avery?
Maxwell Harrison.
Rookie.
Yeah. I like him. Part of this is just, I think maybe I got a little caught up in like, this is 3 years from now, which is why I was going with Travis Hunter and Tez. I was also thinking Quinion Mitchell, but I didn't want to go with the Eagles again, because I don't know. I think that wasn't that one of the rules you can't go twice, the same team.
Yeah, and I don't think we've done that yet. No, we haven't done that yet. So I'm going to throw out a couple names, so we're going to have to pick between these. I'm going to throw out 2 names here. So one guy I considered is Kyle Hamilton, safety for the Ravens, because he's 6'4", he's 225. He's a big safety. And so I just think if you need a guy on your defense who's going to cover the Wembanyamas of flag football, then go Kyle Hamilton. The other guy I considered, he's actually a corner, but I consider him for safety, is Deron Bland for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, uh-huh.
And the reason I picked him is because he had 5 interceptions in his first year. He had 9 in his second year. He didn't have any last year, but he was hurt for a majority of the year. But in his second year, when he had 9 interceptions, he broke the record for most pick sixes in a season in the NFL.
Oh.
So
like tied it or broke it?
He broke it.
That's actually impressive. I feel like everyone just ties those kind of records because you don't ever get too many.
He had 5 pick sixes, which is the most
interceptions
on 9 interceptions, which is the most pick sixes in a season.
I want to know who the last quarterback was to throw him a pick six. And everyone looking at him like, dude, why are you throwing the ball that direction? Oh, jeez.
So, yeah, we've got 4 guys, and we need to pick one.
Deron Bland runs a 4.42. Who else we got?
Kyle Hamilton.
Sounds like a NASCAR driver.
Kyle Hamilton runs a 4.59. Sorry, you're out.
Okay.
Dude, speed wins in flag football.
Okay,
speed and agility wins in flag football.
We'll get rid of Hamilton.
We got Quinion Mitchell, right?
Yeah, Quinion Mitchell.
4.33. Okay, moving into first place. Who was our last guy?
Maxwell Hairston.
He was also very fast.
Oh, 4.28. And he's a rookie. All right, well, I feel like now he doesn't have the size.
40-time bias.
40-time bias for sure. He's only 5'11". And that does create, especially if we've got Travis Hunter back there, you do not have a single person over 6 foot in your safety section. That does create an issue. But the flag football participants currently on the USA roster are not large humans. So speed wins in flag football and pure athleticism wins, which is why Travis Hunter got a spot. His pure athleticism is going to win out. So
Okay. I'm fine with going with the 40 times.
yeah.
Okay.
Maxwell Hairston.
So here's our final roster. Jaden Daniels at quarterback. Devon Achane at running back. Wide receiver is Amon-Ra St. Brown and Tez Johnson. We've got Harold Fannin Jr. at center. Our rusher is Micah Parsons. We've got Pat Surtain and Derek Stingley Jr. as our corners, and Maxwell Hairston and Travis Hunter as our safeties. Are we winning gold?
I think it's a gold medal team. With
Yeah,
zero
because it's not about the popularity.
I know zero knowledge about how flag football actually works.
I'm excited to watch that though. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be that's going to be as long as the basketball tournament. Like, games are going to be happening, and you're going to have no idea. It's going to be like South Sudan versus Kenya flag football. And it's like, what is happening? Who are these people?
Saudi Arabia versus North Korea.
Let me ask, does any other country even stand a chance here?
Yes. I truly think so. Just like in basketball, you get players from America who won't make the American team, who will go back to their homelands or national origin teams, and they will play for them. And other countries don't care as much about the big name. They just want to win. And America definitely cares about the big name. And so these other teams are going to have better team chemistry and better understanding of the way the game works and the nuances in it. And so that's going to give them an actual advantage over Team USA.
This does seem a little bit like a little callback here. The Sprague, I can't remember if it was racquetball or badminton or something, but they won nationals.
Racquetball.
They won nationals. I think it might have gotten a call out on the announcements one morning. But it's one of those things where it was like it just came down to like which school decided to put together a team, and then I think there was some other dude from St. Louis who won like the individual award, but Sprague won nationals. And I feel like this is one of those sports where if a country actually just like invests in this, they can get guys that practice year round and get really good. It's not like basketball or something where you've got to be the cream of the crop. Like talent might just win out regardless of how much you practice. I mean, because they're basically playing the same sport. Whereas this is like, you can get some NFL guys, but like realistically, how much time can you get them all together to practice this? And I think that another country could get guys that are just dedicated to this to the point where they've got it just down. So in that respect, I would be a little worried. Because really just a bunch of fast dudes. I mean, unless you go the tall route, which I'm really curious to see.
All right. Well, there you have our 2028 flag football Olympic roster. And that's all we have time for today on the show. But next week, we have Avery's cousin coming on the show, who is a Seahawks fan. So we're going to talk about the Seahawks. We're going to talk about the NFC West. And we're going to talk about which ringless quarterback will be the next one to win a championship. So stay tuned for that. And as always, don't forget to keep your balls played with. We'll see you next time.